thoughts on?
It's pretty dope. Well, welcome back to another episode of Real Grown Talk. Check it out. Pretty dope.
Graphics.
We have graphics.
Look at that.
We have our Instagram handles on there.
Areil
the company.
808 Real Estate Ash. Mine's missing an A. We have an Alfredo in the room. I don't know if Alfredo wrote it or if
you want to
Ari
stop
wrote it. That's okay. You can find me at Real Estate Ash, 2 A's on the Ash.
Ash. AA, double A.
AA Ash.
Anyways, now we got all the technicalities out of the way. Welcome back.
Yeah, Real Grown Talk.
Another episode. So, I'm pretty excited that we keep doing this and we're consistent with it. So today, I think we're going to talk about, we always like to talk about the market and what it's doing and things like that. So I think we should talk about what to do if you do get seller concessions / credits.
Yeah. I mean, I've been pretty successful in this market getting the maximum concession I can for my clients.
Which is dope.
Yeah. It's a skill.
Yeah.
I was born with it. No, I'm just kidding. I work hard on it.
The art of negotiation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of our clients, I almost had too much concession on one of my deals where we have too much to use it.
That's a good thing.
I know, right?
That's pretty awesome.
We don't want to, we don't want to let it go, but we'll find a way. But that's what we're going to talk about. What can we do with your concessions?
Yeah. So, me personally also have been very lucky with seller concessions. The last 3 contracts that I got, the minimum concessions I got was 2%, and the most was 4%.
Wow.
Which is the most you can get for a VA is 4%.
That's great.
So, what do you do with it?
Yep.
There's a lot of things you can do with it.
I do have a question, right? So you said max concession for VA is 4%.
Yep.
So what about conventional buyers?
Conventional depends on how much you put down.
Okay.
It jumps from 3, 6 to 9. I can't remember off the top of the head how much it is. I think it's if you put more than 5, it's 3%. 10 is 6. Anything over 20 is 9%.
Got it.
It all depends on the loan to value.
So you could really be getting some.
You could get crazy.
Large credits if you really want to get crazy with it.
if you're putting down 20% and you're like, and you as a realtor, you're kind of your expert negotiation skills, and you're like, all right, to your buyer, you're like, put down 20%,
right,
and then we can ask the seller to give us 9%. I think it is.
That's great.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it's like it's up there. It's up there. It's definitely up there, but which is nuts. Think about 9% of the purchase prices are here.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That is pretty awesome.
I'm gonna get a new pool. Just kidding.
Well, you can't really see. Okay, that's a perfect thing. That's a perfect segue into
perfect example of what you can't put your concession into.
You can't essentially get that money to you as cash.
Right.
The most you can get back is your earnest money deposit.
Right. So, obviously we're talking about as the buyer, if you're getting that money back, then what are you spending the rest on? So,
there's a couple of theories on what you want to do with it. You can just buy the rate down. When we talk about buy the rate down, it's essentially you have a par rate which doesn't cost you anything and doesn't give you any credit.
Right.
Okay. So from there, if you want to buy the rate down, meaning getting a lower rate, then there's going to be a cost to that. Those are essentially called points. Right. So whatever amount of points it's going to cost you, we're going to see how much you can use in terms of what your seller concessions is. So let's just say you have 2%. You want to use 1% to buy down the rate to get a low rate right away.
Okay.
And then you can use the other 1% towards your closing costs.
Right.
Which is awesome. Or if you get more, then you can do a 2-1 buy down, which is kind of popular right now.
Yeah. I think that's a huge strategy to really kind of keep the market moving right now.
Yeah.
But I would say how our clients, a lot of them have been combating the rates, and this is probably why you've seen so many large credits coming through, is 2-1 buy downs, baby.
Yeah, and let me explain 2-1 buy downs. So essentially, you'll get seller credit. So you would use that to buy down the rate for the first 2 years.
Right.
So let's just use actual numbers. Your rate, hypothetically, is a 7%. So you would essentially be locked in at that 7%. But then for the first 2 years, you would buy the rate down a percentage. And then that's a certain cost of whatever the cost of it is.
Right.
So
right.
if you get a 7.
To be clear, essentially, we've talked about this before. You're basically paying up front.
Yeah.
Right, for the difference. You're paying the difference up front. But it's good if you can get that money from the sellers.
Right.
You know, the seller's paying that money for you up front. So for you, as the buyer, you're locked into a lower payment for 2 years.
Yeah. So the lower payment, so going back to the rate, so it would be a 7, and then the first year it would be a 5, and then the next year it would be a 6.
Right.
So whatever, or you can do a 3-2-1 buy down.
Right.
That could be for 3 years. You know, so it all depends on how much credit you get.
Right.
Because that's going to cost a certain amount.
Right. Right.
But it's going to give you upfront savings of, you know, it could be depending on what your loan amount is, you know,
Right, right.
$15,000 the first year, $7,000 the second year, you know, depending on how much credit you have. That's, to me, it's awesome, because I know people are so scared right now over the rate.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect way to combat it. And then I literally this just happened to me. I locked a client that's doing a 2-1 buy down, and they got so much credit that they actually don't have to come in with any closing costs, and they might get some money back from their EMD.
That's amazing.
In this market, that's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just,
literally.
it blows my mind that that's there, but you don't know unless you have a good agent, good lender.
Like, those people are literally not bringing any cash to close. They're getting money back.
That's like 2 years ago type of
yeah. Like, it's
transaction.
really, it is like, it's like a time machine back to rates even last year, right? If you can score a 3-2-1 buy down and your rate is actually a 7%, I mean, your first year is what, a 4%?
Yeah.
And then your second year is a 5%. And you're just gradually moving up to that higher percentage, which you're locked into for the rest of the time. But really what that's doing is help buy you time until the rates go down.
Yeah.
Really, once the rates drop, you refinance. Hopefully before you even have to get to that third or fourth year.
Yeah, and then if you do a buy down and let's just say rates dramatically drop, you can just refinance anyways, and that money was never yours. It was It was the seller's money. The concession essentially was given to you so that you can do that.
Yep. It's a smart way to really just get into a house now when, you know, we talked about this before, but if you can qualify, buy a house.
Oh, yeah.
Get that place while you can qualify.
Yep.
Let's strategize. Hello, my favorite word.
Yeah, just if you can afford the payment now, then when the rates go down, it's just going to be better.
Yeah, it's really been a really good way for a lot of our clients to still achieve home ownership even though the rates are super high. So they're really taking advantage of the fact that there's way less buyers in the market.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting whatever they want within means.
Yeah.
You know, within there's reasonable requests here.
Yeah, but it's all because...
Like a huge credit for a 3-2-1 buy down or a 2-1 buy down.
or a 1-1 buy down. It doesn't matter.
Anything helps, really.
Which is, it's just, you know, it goes to you and to me to be different, you know.
Right.
It's the market is always going to be crazy. So how do you differentiate yourself?
Right.
This is a product that we can use.
Yep.
That people don't even know about. You know,
we're
that's
trying
just
to spread
like
the word.
Exactly, just like, you know, when you're telling people about VA assumption, we did an episode of that.
Yep.
That also gets people in the door.
Right.
You know, any sort of creative financing, anything that gets you out there and out of the crowd.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of realtors out there, there's a lot of lenders, but are there good ones?
That have a solution for you, because not everybody's the same. Right?
Yeah.
Like this might not work for the guy who's like an investor and wants to
Right.
pay
It's all
mostly cash.
situational.
You know, like
yeah.
depends, right?
Everything's
But
situational.
for, you know, your everyday homeowner type people, this is a really good solution.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's say we've talked about buying down your rate, just overall.
Mhm.
We talk about your 2-1, 1-1, 3-2-1 buy downs, right?
Mhm.
So, like, let's say you use up all your credit on one of those options there, but you still got a little left over.
So this is the fun part. This is where you can start playing around with your credit card debts or paying off some of your debts.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're not paying off to qualify for the loan,
Right.
we can do it.
That's great.
Let's just say you got 10, you had a rough year and you racked up a bunch of your credit cards and you got like 10 grand in your credit card bills and you're like, I got 10 grand left.
Yep.
What do I do? You can pay that off. You can
put that
pay it
towards
off in
your credit
closing.
card. What about student loans? Can you pay towards
Student
that?
loans, I believe you can, to be honest with you, because it's still a debt.
I just got to ask because I know there's a lot of folks out there carrying around student loans, and that's probably the first thing I would choose if that was me.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's up to you. You know, you can pay off a credit card. You can pay off any sort of liability that you have on your credit because it's going to be coming in as closing costs, right? You're paying at close.
Yep.
And like I said, as long as you're not doing it to qualify, then you can do that.
So, and like, okay, another thing that we can do is also we can pay, well, not so much me, but, from the credit can get paid your association, right?
Oh, yeah.
All your dues.
Yep.
We've had clients pay their dues in advance. What about like leases, like solar leases? Can you pay those in advance too?
I don't think you can do that because it's it's not essentially a liability on your credit. So, I mean, I'm sure there might be a way to do it, but I'm not sure if solar leases are, because I think they're in terms of years. I mean, it could depend on how many.
I think it would probably
years
depend on the
left.
solar contract itself as
Yeah.
well. Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah,
it definitely
you're right
depends
there.
on the solar contract. But like you were saying, HOA dues, man, that's gonna drop your payment $500-$600.
Yeah.
That's saving you money right there too.
My clients love it. When the dues are paid for the rest of the year, they love to hear that.
Yeah,
You've
they're
paid
like,
your
"Oh."
dues. You don't have to pay dues until January 1st. They're
And
like,
you actually didn't pay it,
Yeah, I know, right?
which is awesome. I mean, that's why there's like creative ways to do things.
Yeah.
Taking this credit, putting it here, putting it towards rate. It all depends on your situation, because do you want to have closing costs? Are you focused on getting a lower rate? So that's why I think it's situational, because you can have someone that has cash and they're like, you know what, I just want to get the lowest rate possible. You can use all your credit to buy it down and stick to that rate for 30 years.
Right.
And then if eventually you want to refi that, you can.
Right.
Or if somebody's like, I don't have any cash to close, you're like, perfect, we got you. Let's
get
get
that
the rate
credit,
down a
baby.
little bit, or you get the rate you're going to get and then use that credit to
Yep.
use for closing costs.
That's where I'm going to change my strategy. We're going to find a property that really suits that, so that we can actually get a little room to negotiate here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that a lot of sellers are willing to negotiate now because they're staying on the market a lot longer.
Yep. That's what I'm looking for. If
price-
my client tells me they
price
got no
reduction.
cash to close, here we go. Let's look at some stuff that's been on the market a little bit.
Yeah, it's not
Anything like a week or more. Let's go.
over. Yeah, and I think we're in this really small little window for this as well, because the market will adjust itself.
Yep.
So take advantage of this right now, because it's
If you can, dude, if you can achieve, seriously, any kind of buy down right now, you're going back in time with the rate. And you're going to get your house price before it goes up. It's like, it's a no-brainer to me.
yeah. It's. I mean, I always tell everybody, don't be discouraged by any situation, because there's always a solution.
Yep.
Because if you think in the negative way of that, it's a hard stop. Don't think that. There's always a solution.
Yep.
There's a problem. There's a solution. So
I
you just
agree.
gotta find it. See
That's
what
what we're
your
here
client
for.
wants to do. Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
See what your client wants to do. See what the market's doing. Just make sure that you have a good pre-approval, solid, so you can play around with numbers that way.
Yep.
That's important.
And secure that concession.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it.
Basically, seller concessions are amazing.
Yep.
And they're here, and sellers are aware of that, because buyers sometimes they're so discouraged in this market.
Yeah. We're just looking for a fair deal. We're looking for a fair deal.
Yep. And sellers know that it's a tough market, and Either their property is going to stay on for another month or two, or they're going to give that credit, get the purchase price you want.
Yep. You want to get that purchase price? Let's give that credit.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Oh, man, what a great show today. All about seller concessions, our favorite topic.
We're looking for, if you're giving seller concessions, give us a call.
Yeah, give us a call. Follow us on
We have
IG.
clients for you.
Boom.
Real estate
Ash.
with two A's.
Real estate Ash.
Our lender,
Lender
808. That's right. That's 100% right.
You can reach me at 808-688-3806.
You can reach me at 781-266-6548.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
It's
That
been
was
real.
pretty dope.
Bye, guys.